The James Show Podcast.
I figured the apocalypse would be a little more apocalyptic than this, right? Because you were told the government's shutting down. Children are going to die. The economy's going to come crashing to a halt. It's going to be Sodom and Gomorrah, Caligula, cats and dogs living together. People are going to go the wrong way on one-way streets. It's going to be terrible. It's not so bad, is it? What are we in, day 15 now? Day 15? I am just going to share with you some of my amusement that happens around the shutdown talk. Because they have to tell you it's bad. And so instead of giving you like the facts and the numbers or whatever, they like to hyper-focus in on either one specific person's sob story. You see a lot of that. Or maybe there's just like this general subset of the population that's suffering, some poor disenfranchised minority. And in this case, let's look at hikers. Hikers? Why hikers, James? Just stick with me for a second. Because I saw an article and it just... I laughed. And when I say I laughed, a lot of times when you're in a text message, you type in LOL, but you didn't really laugh out loud, right? Well, this one I actually did laugh because they're trying to give you the sob story about people who are going camping. They're going camping in national parks, and there's not a park ranger on staff. Oh my God! How are we supposed to enjoy the woods without a park ranger? Everyone, does anyone take that serious? Does anyone think that you really need a park ranger to enjoy the woods? Because I make assumptions like I say things and some of them are self-evident. Like, of course, everyone agrees with me. You don't need a park ranger to enjoy the woods. Now, I say that because I grew up way out in the middle of nowhere and in the back 30 acres, backed right up into a forest. So a lot of times during the summer, when we were just a little too old to have babysitters, but not old enough to be well-behaved, me and my sister would wake up and we'd play Monopoly and I'd get mad and I'd flip the board over and she'd get mad at me and chase me out of the house with a steak knife, lock all the doors, and then I'd be stuck outside for the next, about 6-7 hours until one of our parents got home from work. So I spent a lot of time in the woods, just walking around, me and a couple of dogs. There's some horses in the pasture back there too. And you know what? I was able to spend just days back there. I could go camping back there. I didn't do it very much, but I would go wandering around in the woods almost every day for months in a row. Never had one park ranger. Never needed the services of a park ranger. Never even thought about park rangers. In fact, I'm not even sure if I knew park rangers existed outside of the Yogi Bear cartoons. So, oh my goodness, we need, without park rangers, our national parks, no one can enjoy them. What are you talking about? They said, I remember during the shutdown that happened, I think 2013, they said Mount Rushmore's closed. I'm like, excuse me, does it have a door? How can Mount Rushmore be closed? Did they put like a big shower curtain in front of it and they just shut it? If you drive by Mount Rushmore, do you have to look away? Like, how do you even shut a national park? So I've just really been enjoying the stories because they're trying to pull them out of somewhere, and you know where they're all coming from. But do they believe this? Is there a group of people out there who maybe in their own lives, they think they're okay, but they're worried about, their fellow Americans in this time of terrible shutdown? Like, are you almost here? We got to do the scary music again. Are you almost out of food in your underground bunker, guys? I mean, are you going to make it? Are you still able to get clean water for basic nutrition and hygiene? Are minorities still a thing, or have they all been genocided? They're still a thing? They're still out there? I don't know, because I've just been staying in my bunker down here, eating freeze-dried food that I got from Ron Paul. Do you have any survival tips you can share with us to get us through this tough moment, this apocalyptic moment, this hellscape that is the great, terrible shutdown of 2025? Yeah, things are pretty desperate down here in downtown Dallas. For lunch today, I had to stalk a homeless man behind the American Airlines Center, and I took him down. And it took me a while. He had a lot of fight in him, but I ended up cooking his leg over a already existing dumpster fire to get some nutrition for lunch. That's how bad things are down here. But yeah, my kids actually, they've been having to go to school in bug tussle wearing burlap sacks, because all society's collapsed, and this is all I can do for clothing for them. And I don't know if it's worth it because, the school doesn't have any electricity or running water or even books. They had to burn all the books because, we're all openly fascist now. How are you surviving the great shutdown of 2025? This is Dean in Corsicana. You're on WBAP.
Hey, man, I don't understand, if why the Democrats still getting a paycheck? Why can't they be like everybody else that's going to get laid off and fired? So if they would, not get their paycheck, which I'm sure is a lot, that, maybe they would loosen up the reins a little bit and want to play fair.
So why do you ask that about Democrats? Why not just say why is anyone in Congress getting a paycheck?
Well, all the above, I guess, but seem like they're the ones that's causing all the havoc. And, the Republicans are just wanting to, continue on and try to get people back at work. But the Democrats are, wanting to have another $1 trillion immigration
spending, right?
Healthcare.
Well, and not all of that 1.5 trillion is on illegals, but some of it is. And Dean, the answer, because that's a funny question, but the serious answer to that we have an impasse on some of these very obvious tripwires that most of us would like to be in government because it requires Congress to pass them. So while you and I think it makes perfect sense if the budget isn't balanced, and no one in Congress should be paid, that they'd balance the budget next year, right? Well, you'd have to get Congress to pass that law, and there's no way they would vote for that. That's the real answer to a very funny and legit question there, though. So thank you, Dean in Corsicana. Do you have any tips for surviving the apocalyptic shutdown of 2025? I'm still befuddled on why no one's taking credit for the shutdown. We're in day 15, and all we've done is save the taxpayers a few bucks in the meantime. So I'm just amazed at how much this has dropped out of the headlines, actually. MSNBC's not talking about this very much. I played you the montage where George Stephanopoulos on This Week on the ABC Sunday Morning Show had 12 minutes with the Vice President of the United States during a shutdown, didn't ask him one question about it. So I don't know. Is that a sign that the shutdown's actually more popular? Because if it is, then shouldn't someone be taking credit there? Because I heard J.D. Vance calling it's the Schumer shutdown, and then you hear everyone on the left say it's the Republican shutdown or the Trump shutdown. It's like, when is somebody going to come out and claim credit? Like, hell yeah, I shut down the government. You're welcome. 800-288-9227. Jana, Dallas, you're on WBAP.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Jan.
I was calling about the park ranger comments that you made. I personally love the national parks. I've been to like 10. I love them. I think they're national treasures. But the thing is that there's no park rangers. Some American people are pigs. They wreck it. They do not care that it's a national treasure, that this is something that should be precious to us and our families. So they wreck it. So I kind of feel like we do need park rangers because of that. But, I mean, I'm sure it's not high on the priority list. But
Wait, you just described a janitor.
Well, I know, but they do monitor and keep law there. Like, if something's going on, and they are helpful, like if someone's hurt or lost or whatever, they have other functions than that. But I'm just saying that a lot of American people, they don't care about stuff. And we've been to some that aren't national parks, like Turner Falls in Oklahoma. We just went to that. It's not a national park, but it's just, people have just trashed it, where it was just a fond memory of mine growing up. But now it's just like, And so if we don't have any security or laws or rules, then, that's what happens. And I'm just
okay. Now you just described the job that police do. All right. So listen. Let me throw out because I know people are going to roll their eyes when I throw out this libertarian crap. But we definitely don't need national parks, and we don't need national park rangers. And for the people who are just, what do you mean you'd get rid of Yellowstone? I wouldn't give it up. I would just turn it over to Wyoming. Here, this is your park now. Like the states, we can have state parks. I'm not even sure how necessary these are. But the Constitution is pretty strict in that the federal government shouldn't own land except for like the military bases and the buildings, the land that their buildings sit on. We were never intended to have national parks. That was something we didn't have for all of the American history up until Teddy Roosevelt. So, yeah, and if we did turn it back over to the states, it didn't matter if we had a shutdown or not. Your park ranger would still be there. So for people who try and use that as an excuse, well, we need to reopen the government. No, it's more of an excuse on we need to get rid of the national park system.
Well, I kind of agree. I wouldn't have a problem with the states being a part of that and taking care of their own parks. I don't really have a problem with that. But we do need, it can't just be open. It's got to have some kind of
janitor and cops?
Yeah, maybe if that's what you want to call it. But, I understand what you're saying, and I really agree with you on most things. So, but, I don't have a problem the states taking over the parks. I really don't.
Well, good. We've found a little compromise.
There's something to be there to be treasured, though. And like I said, some people, they don't care.
Well, what happens if someone litters on private property? What if someone threw a bunch of trash in your yard? What would you do?
Well, I'd pick it up, but I wouldn't want them to do it. It's like, why would you do that?
Well, I know, but people. Would you hire a park ranger to make sure people don't throw trash in your yard, or would you just pick it up? Or maybe hire someone to pick it up?
Because it's my yard, but I get what you're saying. But
all right.
My point is that those should be,
we got it, Jana. You're a great caller. You did well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James.
All right. Charles in Fort Worth. Hey, Charles, you're next up on WBAP. How are you surviving the great shutdown of 2025?
I'm doing all right now. I just got a question. How do you feel about the people who are furloughed but are still expected to go in and work during it and get paid after whenever it all ends? Because I'm part of that, even though I work with a lot of people who aren't, or they're not working, being furloughed right now. I work here down at the F-35 base in Fort Worth, and we still are supposed to go in and fly planes and everything like that and not get paid currently.
Well, what's your job? Are you actually doing something that's constitutional, like it's within Article 1, Section 8 of the jobs the federal government's supposed to do?
Yeah, we still part of the Homeland Security and all that still. And we're still working.
All right. Well, if you're doing something constitutional, I feel sorry for you. If you're not, I still feel sorry for you as a human being, but as a pragmatic function, I'm glad there's a little bit of suffering because I hope that compels you to go find gainful employment in the private sector. So I'm kind of split on that. You're a human being. I'm sorry that this makes your life a little more difficult. But also, just because you're in government shouldn't exempt you from what a lot of us go through. Some of us have worked at companies where the paycheck didn't cash and we missed some checks for a couple weeks and found out your station's going out of business the hard way. And just one day you come back and the doors are locked and you were left scrambling on how to feed your family and, take care of all your bills here. Now, I feel for you as a human being, but I don't think that should stand in the way of a shutdown. I don't think that's an excuse to reopen the government, and I don't think it's anything really egregious that most people in the private sector experience on a pretty regular basis as well. Does that help, Charles?
Well, yeah, I guess. We've done with government shutdowns before, and I've been furloughed before, and been without pay and this and that. And, I thought about, having a different job, but, once you're in for as long as I have, you can't, abandon it.
Yeah.
Because of retirement.
Oh, man, that pension they give you that we're all going to be paying for is a little too generous. I can't blame you for taking that, even though I disagree with the concept. But good question, Charles. A recent study caught my eye, and since I spent 0 hours in medical school, I think it would be quite helpful if I brought in someone who spent at least 1 hour in medical school. Dr. Matt Chalmers back on the James Show. Welcome back, Dr. Chalmers. A new study. I saw this on the Dallas Express. Speaking of our good friend Chris Putnam. Survey reveals an 80% drop in peanut allergies with early exposure. Now, that sounds quite interesting. Does this make sense to you as a doctor, Matt?
Yeah. So one of the big things that we see is that, exposure therapy kind of helps, but, getting through and clearing up these peanut allergies we do it with a type of electromagnetic reset, but it is a big thing to kind of get in and get the body used to them as early as we can.
Wait, hang on. You do like the allergification of people? What's the right word for that?
Desensitization. Yeah, it's a German technology that has been around for about 20 or 30 years in Germany. But since it decreases pharmaceutical use, it is not a thing that is used here.
Well, I didn't even know we were going to walk into this. This sounds awesome. What the heck is it? You use electroshocks?
No, it's electromagnetic field.
Electromagnetic. Okay. It's not like the hat that they wear in Clockwork Orange?
No,
okay.
No. It's just a way that with the electromagnetic resonance, your body can actually convince your body not to be allergic to certain things. And it's been really beneficial for a lot of people.
All right, look, listen. If I sound skeptical, it's because this is the first time I'm hearing this. What do you just like stick a magnet up to your head or something?
No, it's a specific frequency that you can desensitize a specific thing to your body. So everything has its own magnetic resonant field. So if you've ever seen CSI where they do the little laser graph and they're like, oh, this is C4 because of the way the chart spectrum comes out.
Yes.
Everything has one of those. And that little electromagnetic field can be used to, figure out what that chemical is. And you can then use that field to convince your body that it's okay to consume.
So even if you're in adulthood with a peanut allergy, there might be a way you can get out of it?
Yeah, we've done it lots of times. We do it with airborne stuff. We do it with allergies. We do it a lot with peanuts. We do it with all sorts of stuff.
All right. Well,
you can't do like milk allergies though.
Okay. Well, what can you and can't you do?
Pretty much any of the stuff that people are allergic to. So like eggs, we can do peanuts. We can do all the big ones. And then there's a lot of little things that people create chronic inflammation that they don't even know they're eating, little spices and stuff like that. So when we work on like reversing diabetes, you have to decrease all the inflammation in the body to let the insulin levels come back down.
Right.
And so food sensitivities is a big one that we see all the time.
So you're not caught off guard by this peanut allergy thing at all?
Nope.
Yeah. So there's always been people that were theorizing about this that sounded reasonable because, I read in history books and I don't hear about, Calvin Coolidge's son dying from anaphylactic shock from eating a peanut. I didn't hear about any peanut allergies in history. I asked my parents about it. They didn't have peanut allergy issues at their school when they were a kid. And I don't even think we really had the peanut craze when I was in elementary school. This is sort of a semi-new phenomenon. So that makes me suspicious about it to begin with.
Well, so a lot of the peanut stuff and the egg stuff is from the adjuvants that are in the vaccines. So when you take a vaccine that's trying to get your body to freak out about a specific organism, like a virus, but it has a bunch of other things in it, your body's going to learn to freak out about all of those things. So the pieces that are egg, the pieces that are peanut, it'll freak out about all of those things. So that's one of the things we've been seeing with this giant rise in vaccines. We're actually altering the immune system. We're taking very powerful drugs with the purpose of altering the immune system, and we're creating all sorts of major allergies to things like eggs and peanuts.
I see. Do you have children?
I do.
Did you do some of this early introduction with peanuts for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. We try to get all the food in as we could so that they would start utilizing it and recognizing it early on so that they wouldn't have any issues with it.
So what all did you have to do that for? Peanuts, strawberries, anything else you focused on?
Yeah, we pretty much fed them pretty much anything that we were going to eat on a regular basis and anything that would cause, significant anaphylactic issues so that we could monitor them and make sure that everything was good. You start with very, 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 very small amounts. Because again, with dose, the smaller the dose, the smaller the reaction. And so then you just kind of build up. And you can start to find these things as they get mucousy, they get fussy, that type of thing. And then you can start to kind of wean them off of it. When
you look at the rise of peanut allergies, you sort of attach that to the vaccine schedule. And I think a lot of people would be interested to hear more about that because vaccines have been getting a lot of attention in the last couple of years. You have people that are still getting COVID boosters, and I'm seeing ads, you need to take your flu shot. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I can ever be talked into any vaccine ever again for the rest of my life after COVID.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at any of the vaccines. All the research that's showing up that they're very, 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 very toxic. We've known this for a long time. And so it's nice that it's finally kind of coming out. We can actually start talking about it again, or for the first time. But it's definitely something I wouldn't do. The flu vaccine, there's research out that shows that you're 25% more likely to get the flu if you get a flu vaccine.
Yeah, that seems sort of counterintuitive there, like hitting the whole point to prevent the flu. And to be fair, I've never gotten a flu vaccine. I'm kind of a big baby about needles, which you probably think is ridiculous because you're a doctor and that's the most normal thing in the world for you. But my irrational phobia has actually worked out well for me because I haven't put all these toxins in my body.
See, there you go. See, it works out.
Right. My psychosis comes in handy. So let's talk about the recent debate that was had over Tylenol, because it sounds quite similar here. That's Tylenol and acetaminophen occupies your body's ability to deal with other toxins, and therefore you have these unwanted side effects. And that sounded kind of like what you were talking about with vaccines causing or contributing to allergies.
Yeah, so acetaminophen or Tylenol reduces your body's store of what's called glutathione. And glutathione is the number one chemical we use to detoxify all sorts of stuff in the body, specifically heavy metals. And when you don't have enough glutathione, what ends up happening is that these inflammatory chemicals sit on the brain and sit everywhere else way longer than they normally would, causing more and more and more damage. So the easier way, if you're an adult and you're trying to get these levels, the glutathione levels up, N-acetylcysteine or NAC really helps your body produce more glutathione. So get that stuff in. That'll be really helpful for you.
Okay, so you sound like you're on board with RFK in the middle of all that, because we had the viral trend of pregnant ladies taking handfuls of Tylenol, and I think we talked to you on the show about that. That was kind of a scary time.
It's a really great way to give yourself liver failure. The number one reason we have liver failure in this country is from acetaminophen. People think it's harmless. It is not. It is extremely dangerous to take, especially in large quantities.
All right. So also in this report, the Dallas Express was talking about the survey that showed up in pediatrics about peanuts, but then it expanded out and started talking about how you can deal with some of your other allergy sensitivities by repeated low dose exposure. They talk about a guy was he was allergic to peanuts, and he slowly desensitized his body to the food. Is that something safe for someone to do at home, or do you need to consult with a doctor to try that?
I would 100% get with the doc on this, because here's the problem. Like, nobody knows exactly where your dose is. So if you have an anaphylactic style reaction to some of these things, you need to have an EpiPen. You need to be ready. Like, you need to have the stuff ready to go. So I would 100% work with somebody on this if you're going to do it. The funny thing is that now people are coming out and talking about, they're like, oh my gosh, low dose exposure is really good for the body. And you're like, yeah, homeopathics have been talking about this for 100 years. So it is 100% a thing we use all the time in homeopathic medicine, where you do just a little tiny bit of the problem your body can like utilize to get better with it. So it's 100% a thing that's been proven over and over and over again.
Does that work for plant allergies as well?
All of this stuff will work for a lot of people, but not for everybody. But yes, this is a thing that can help with plant allergies as well.
Because I do this thing where for 2 weeks in the fall, in fact, I'm just coming off of it right now, and for 2 weeks in the spring, I have allergies. I'm stuffy. I feel fine. I'm not tired or sleepy or groggy or anything. I feel fine. My nose is just runny for 2 weeks, and it's not that big of such a big deal that I've ever wanted to do anything about it. But if I could desensitize myself and not have to deal with that, that would be helpful.
You're more than welcome to come up and desensitize yourself, and you can see for yourself and how it works. And
so you just use like the right electromagnetic field on me?
Yep.
Wouldn't that be amazing if the frequency hertz was like 93.3 megahertz or something? Because, we're on WBAP.
That would be not only amazing, but ironic, and I would love it.
All right, so 8% of the children in the United States right now have food allergies. What do you think that number would be if we, followed the correct protocols and didn't junk ourselves up with vaccines and Tylenol and whatnot?
You're going to see this drop back down if we did everything right, and there's a whole lot we'd have to change. You'd see that drop back down to the 0.1, 0.5%. Like, we'd cut it drastically down. But again, to end up doing it right, we're not just talking about taking out vaccines and stuff like that. We'd have to reduce all the all the other junk that's in the processing food, the BPA stuff, like all those dyes and chemicals that are creating all sorts of secondary problems and inflammation in the body. We'd have to cut those back a lot as well.
How well do you restrict your own diet? Like, would you ever eat a Butterfinger?
No, not a chance.
When's the last time you ate candy?
Man, that I didn't make myself, probably a decade ago.
Wow. All right. I am not as disciplined as you, sir, but if people want to get some help or they have some more questions, where do they find your work? ChalmersWellness.com, is that what it is?
Chalmers Wellness and pillarsofwellness.com. Either one of them work just fine.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Gave me a lot to study up on here. This is Matt Chalmers, Dr. Chalmers on The James Show. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Anytime. Talk to you guys soon.
The James Show Podcast.